Have you ever asked yourself what hidden dangers might be quietly sitting inside your kitchen right now? The very place where you prepare your meals, enjoy your coffee, or maybe even gather with family. And have you ever stopped to think that after the age of 65, the items you keep in that space could actually be putting your safety, health, and independence at risk in ways most people never realize until it's too late? Because the truth is, the kitchen can be a blessing, but also a silent trap if we don't carefully pay attention to the things we keep or refuse to let go of. And today, we're going to dive into 9 specific things seniors should never keep in the kitchen after 65. Not because they make you weak or incapable, but because your environment should evolve with your age, just like your diet, your exercise, and even your lifestyle does. And when we make small but intentional changes in our kitchen, we actually extend our independence, lower our risk of injury, and make daily life more enjoyable. So let's begin with the very first and perhaps most overlooked item: old heavy cookware. And I mean those cast iron skillets, oversized pots, and weighty pans that may have served you faithfully for decades, but now, with reduced grip strength, arthritis, or even slower reflexes, they become less of a tool and more of a hazard, because lifting them full of boiling water or hot oil can easily cause burns, spills, and serious accidents. And here's the thing: modern lightweight, non-stick, ergonomically designed cookware exists today not to replace tradition, but to give you freedom without pain. So keeping those heavy pans might feel nostalgic, but it's a hidden trap for your safety. And moving on to the second item, dull knives. Yes, you heard that right. Dull knives are more dangerous than sharp ones, because a knife that struggles to cut forces you to press harder, slip more often, and risk deep cuts. And after 65, when skin heals slower, when infections become more serious, and when even a small injury can mean days of discomfort, the last thing you need is a dull knife in your kitchen drawer. So if you've got a collection of old knives that barely cut through a tomato, it's time to either sharpen them properly or replace them with safer, easier-to-use options, designed with safety grips and lighter weight. Because safety in the kitchen doesn't come from avoiding tools, it comes from using the right ones for your stage in life. And the third item that seniors should absolutely reconsider keeping in the kitchen after 65 is expired canned goods and boxed foods that we often let pile up in the pantry for someday. But here's the truth: as we age, our digestive system, immune systems, and overall tolerance to spoiled or borderline foods become much more sensitive. And eating expired or stale food can trigger food poisoning, upset stomach, or infections that land seniors in the hospital more quickly than younger adults. So instead of hoarding shelves of old canned soups, baking mixes, or expired condiments, seniors benefit from a minimalist pantry that rotates frequently, with fresh staples and clear labels that make it easy to know what's safe to eat. And this isn't just about health. It's about peace of mind. Because no one wants to play food roulette at an age where recovery is harder. And speaking of food, the fourth dangerous thing to keep in your kitchen after 65 is oversized appliances that clutter your countertops or require heavy lifting. And I'm talking about bread machines, old blenders, giant slow cookers, or that huge coffee urn you only pull out once a year. Because these not only take up valuable space, but they also tempt you into lifting, bending, or maneuvering heavy objects that strain your back or risk falling. And what's worse, Many of these old appliances have outdated cords, frayed plugs, or no safety shutoff features which add the fire risk factor to an already difficult situation. So if you're over 65 and your kitchen feels more like a warehouse of unused gadgets, it's time to clear them out and only keep lightweight, modern, frequently used tools that actually support your daily life. And here comes the fifth item: rugs and mats with loose edges or slippery backs. Yes, rugs in the kitchen may feel cozy, but for seniors, they are one of the top causes of preventable falls, because a single slip on a wet floor or a trip over a curling edge can lead to broken hips, fractured wrists, or long recoveries that completely change life after a fall. And that's why many geriatric experts say kitchens should be rug-free zones, or at least outfitted with non-slip medical-grade mats that don't move an inch, even when wet. And think about it, wouldn't you rather have a kitchen where you move confidently without fear than one where every step could mean danger? And this brings us to the sixth item: high shelves filled with rarely used dishes, jars, or appliances, because climbing on stools or stretching to reach heavy dishes overhead is one of the most underestimated risks for seniors. And every year, thousands of older adults are injured in falls caused by reaching or climbing for kitchen items that should have been stored lower. So after 65, the smartest move is to reorganize. Bring your daily items within arm's reach and remove the temptation to climb altogether, because independence isn't about keeping everything the same. It's about adapting smartly. And now let's talk about the seventh thing: old plastic containers, the kind that have scratches, stains, or that faint smell of whatever was stored inside 10 years ago, because not only do these harbor bacteria and toxins, but older plastics were often made before BPA-free standards, which means they can actually leak harmful chemicals into your food, and seniors are more vulnerable to the health effects of these toxins. So keeping a drawer full of mismatched, cracked containers is not just clutter, it's a quiet health risk. And investing in a small set of modern, glass, or safe, BPA-free containers gives you a clean, safe, and simple system that keeps both your food and your health intact. And the eighth item is outdated spices and condiments. And while this might sound harmless, spices that sit for years lose their flavor and their nutritional benefits. And condiments, long past their prime, often turn into bacteria playgrounds, which again, seniors should avoid at all costs. Because a bad batch of mayo or a moldy spice isn't just unpleasant. It can lead to infections that a 30-year-old body might bounce back from, but a 70-year-old body might struggle with for weeks. So regularly clearing out those cabinets and replacing with the fresh, clearly labeled jars is one of the simplest but most powerful ways to protect yourself. And finally, the ninth and perhaps most surprising thing seniors should never keep in their kitchens after 65 is sentimental clutter that belongs somewhere else, like stacks of old recipes, broken teacups from decades ago, or boxes of kitchen gadgets saved just in case. Because while memories are precious, the kitchen should never become a storage closet, and every piece of clutter in this space increases stress, makes cooking less enjoyable, and in emergencies, slows down your ability to move freely. And when you let go of unnecessary clutter in your kitchen, you aren't letting go of memories. You're letting go of obstacles. And that is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself after 65. Because a clear, safe kitchen becomes a sanctuary where you can actually enjoy cooking, eating, and living without fear, without clutter, and without risk.